Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what good to say? I dabbled in stand-up or something. I have no disrespect for you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr Podcast. It is Tuesday, January 30th. My gosh, January is almost done. It's flying by, guys. We have a fabulous guest for you all this morning. Before I bring her on, I have a comedy show to promote. Yes, one last chance to see me very pregnant doing stand-up comedy. And that opportunity is next month in New Jersey, Saturday, February 24th. I'll be headlining Tiff's Ale House in Morris Plains, New Jersey, also known as the Dojo of Comedy. This is a great venue. I remember they have very strong drinks. I won't be able to partake in the strong drinks, but you can buy one for my opener, Keanu Thompson. She'll be there. Andrew Harms from the Wet Spot will be there. It's going to be one last pregnant headlining show, and then I'm sure I'll jump around, do spots around the city and Jersey and wherever I can just drive to. But I have to be on land. I am a land whale from now till April 19th when I have to push a person out. How am I going to do that? I've been watching videos. It doesn't help. But yes, get your tickets now. This is going to be great. And as a reminder, Friday Night Tights this Friday will be starting at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. So that's probably 11 Texas time, because the guys are all down there at MegaCon in Orlando. So they're going to do it a bit earlier this Friday. And yeah, I'll be very excited to do that show early. And I got a bunch more interviews coming up for this week. So just stay tuned, guys. It's going to be great. And thank you to everybody who came out to the Dallas show last Thursday. Me, Keanu, and Lila had a great time. I taped it, had a professional crew come in and tape it. So I will either turn it into a little bit of a pregnancy special, or I will cut it into very, well done professional clips. Either way, it was so much fun. So it was great to see some new faces, some familiar faces. It was good. I love that club. It's one of my favorites. Hyenas in Dallas, one of my favorite clubs in the city for sure. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not. Okay, y'all. Very excited to have her on the show today. We met last month at Turning Point USA AmFest. And I've just been in love ever since. She is the producer and booker for the Culture War on TimCast. My God, what a resume. UPenn alumni, former congressional comms. I'm intimidated, but okay, we're going to talk. It's going to be great. Welcome to the show, Lisa Reynolds. Hello, Lisa.
Thanks for having me. That resume is not that impressive. I'm just a pain in the ass. That's all.
My resume would be communications major, women's studies minor. What would I put on I would say I'm in the background of a Dashboard confessional album. That's part of my resume. Here we go.
Dashboard's the best, though. Rapid Hope Loss is probably one of the best songs ever.
This was me.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I'm a big Dashboard fan.
Oh, and I know I'm a little bit dating myself here, but this was my best friend, Maureen, at the time. This is my other best friend, Maggie Colbert, at the time. We all met in school. We all went to Fairfield U. We stayed up. I think we slept outside the MTV, whatever this was called.
The Live Unplugged or something?
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool in the heyday. I thought I was so cool wearing this orange T-shirt. Like, orange isn't flattering for anybody.
You were cool. You made it on the cover. Like, that's huge.
And I had a symbol in the eye. But then on the back, you can kind of see. Why am I bragging about this? Something's wrong.
Because it's fun. Dashboard's amazing.
I'm doing my glory days moment. So Lisa, yeah, we met at Turning Point USA. I remember I looked over and I saw someone arm wrestling Lauren Southern. And I was
that
like,
wasn't fair. That wasn't fair.
And I was like, I think I know who that girl is.
Nuance Bro was there, and he like always challenges people. So I was like, all right, me and Lauren will do it. And it was tough. She's a strong girl. She actually goes to the gym. I don't, whatever. I'm still, but whatever. So he's like, oh, Lauren, move your wrist this way. And I look up and I go, no, it's cheating. You can't tell her what to do. And then she like got me. And I was like, that's not fair. But yeah, that was me.
Nuance Bro was doing feats of strength test all weekend long. Every time I saw him out, he was either doing arm wrestling or
grip strength. That's a big
hand job machine. It was like a forearm like
grippers.
Hand gripper. Yeah, he had these men you can't trust a man with a gripper. And he's just carrying it around. He's got his gripper. Everyone's doing the grip tests. And it's cute.
Yeah, he was fun. That was a lot of fun. It was really nice to finally meet you in person. We have a lot of mutual friends, so I've been hearing about you for a really long time. So it was nice to see you. And then we had lunch at the airport. So
hopefully all good stuff. It's like
with the migrants.
2023 was a more viral year for me than I realized. And so I'm like, I always when I meet a new person, I'm like, oh, don't just base it off the Google search.
No. Oh, if you Google search me, it's horrific and it's all lies, but it's really problematic. So,
and you guys were hanging out at the Tenet Media table, or you were there with the TimCast guys, right? So you kind of, you guys could really go anywhere because you were a special guest.
I'm a Turning Point ambassador, so I was there for that. I was in that for a while. It's nice because they pay for you to go there, but Tenet bought the Culture War, so I was hanging out with those guys for a little bit, talking about our show, and it's really doing well. I'll plug it anyway. It's Fridays at 10 a.m. Live on Tenet Media with Tim and two guests. It's doing really well. So we're happy with it, and it's a good show.
They bought the Culture War. So how did that change the show at all?
Didn't. I basically do what I always do with Tim, and just we the only thing that changed was because it was a new YouTube channel. Like it wasn't in the algorithm as much, so our numbers took a dive, but they're back on the rise. So yeah.
Okay, so Tenet Media, it's really it's Benny Johnson, Lauren, Tim. Oh gosh, Dave Rubin. This guy, I met this guy, Taylor Hanson.
Yeah, he's
Taylor Hanson.
He does good work. Yeah, but I don't know who I forget who that guy is in the middle. He has a YouTube channel. We're just gonna forget the Dave Rubin part right now.
I could just click on the talent part. Yes, Taylor Hanson. These are great headshots. Ooh, Matt Christensen.
That's it.
From Bozeman, Montana.
Which I would very cool. In
Montana, I thought Montana was like a safe haven for people who like freedom and are kind of based. But then I saw this crazy story on Twitter about these two parents that got themselves into a situation where one of their kids was taken from their custody, and basically kind of like forced transed against the parents' will. And of course, it's like a typical case of a confused sort of middle school age, I think 14-year-old girl.
Nowhere safe from that anymore. They do say, like, if you look it up, what's the best place for Republicans or conservatives? And everybody says West Virginia, surprisingly. Like, that's what all the stats say. West Virginia. I think it's North, South Dakota, Idaho, something like that. But West Virginia is certainly at the top of the list. So I think that's why someone chose there.
It seems calm there. I enjoyed my time there. So you guys, was this your and so this was probably not your first Turning Point USA event if you're an
No.
ambassador.
No. I've been going to Turning Point things for like 4 or 5 years now. I used to make the rounds. I used to do a lot of stuff on the Blaze. I would be on Tim's show, Elijah's show, Chad's show, but I kind of took a step back from all of that to like stay home and be with my kids all the time and Sarah's show, things like that. But
Yeah. Things change so quickly. I think Chad is in Houston now. Elijah's in
Australia for
Australia.
now. Yeah.
But I think maybe I don't know. I think he might want to come back. I don't want to speak
He
for him.
does. He does. I actually talk to Elijah regularly, and he's planning to come back. They didn't see. I know everybody thinks like they have reasons why they think he left, but his wife really didn't see her family for 2 years during the COVID lockdowns, living in Australia, and then she got pregnant, and she wants to deliver the baby and have family and resources around. And Elijah's mother passed away during COVID, so when you're pregnant, you want to have as many people around to help you as you can. So so
I can understand for the flight alone. I've never been to Australia. It's where I really wanted to study abroad. But my diving coach was basically like, no, you're going to miss part of the season. And I was like, great. It could have been that. It could have been that my grades weren't good enough. One of the two. And then for the flight, what is it, a 24-hour flight to get to Australia? I'd be like, no, let's stay here for 2 years because I don't want to have to face that flight again.
Yeah. You definitely would have to have like the first class sleeper to do that comfortably. Like I can't imagine sitting in a regular seat for 24 hours. I would rather jump out the window of the plane.
Oh my God. I can't imagine a full-grown adult doing that flight. Imagine doing it with an infant or a toddler.
Yeah, not fun at all.
I've been watching a lot of sort of baby and newborn related videos, and I'm gonna have to do a rant on this at one point. There are these I forget their name, but they're like, how to travel with an infant. I'm like, no, stop. Why would you do that?
I will say this because I had 2 children, and the best time to travel, to go out to restaurants, to do anything with them is in the first 7 months, because all they do is sleep. They sleep the entire time. They don't cry that much. You can stick them in their little carrier and put them wherever they need to go. And they're excellent. So that's fine.
That makes sense.
But it's when they get to like 2 and 3 that you want to 2, 3, maybe 4 that you want to like blow your brains out.
So you have a window at the beginning, and then what? You should wait till they're 3 or 4. 5. Okay.
4 to 5. But they're usually, I mean, if your kids are well behaved and they're disciplined kids, they're usually not that bad. I mean, I've traveled with my kids a little bit and they're fine.
Wow. Okay. Because I saw one couple, they had a car seat, they had the baby or the kid in the car seat, and the car seat sat on top of the airline seat. I was like, okay, that's pretty clever. But what these guys were suggesting in their video, they're like traveling hacks, traveling with a baby, and they're like they do the thing that I hate so much, whereas one person buys an aisle seat, one person buys the window seat, and then they just hope nobody buys the middle seat. But I've been in the situation at least 4 times where I am in the middle of a couple, and I'm just like, at that point, as soon as somebody buys the middle seat, it's game over. You've lost. One of you has to shift, okay? Because this has happened to me enough where I'm like, I am now part of your relationship, okay? There's gonna be arms going across my head the whole fucking flight, the passing of snacks, the dropping of snacks. I'm in the fucking conversation. I'm like, what are we doing when we land in Tampa, huh? And God, this woman was like, oh, thank God you're so thin, you can fit in the middle. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Once you put the armrest down, everyone's got the same amount of room. Okay. Like well, you're better to sit in the middle. I was like, this is your fucking husband, man. If you don't want to travel next to him, you guys shouldn't be traveling at all together.
I agree.
It makes me irate. Yes.
There's just so many bad parents anyway. Parents these days they don't have their children under control at all. It's obnoxious.
Just buy a seat for your kid and let them sit in the middle. They don't always have to be on a lap. I agree with Fealty here that you look too young for having 2 kids.
I'm 42.
What? Where do you put it?
I'm 42. I don't know. I guess when I was young, I always looked young and I wanted to look older, but I still think that like people will always like say you're old. That's why I'm kind of stepping back to it. Everybody's so young in this business, and I'm like, I'm aging out of it quickly. 42.
I don't think. No, I think the 40s are great. That like the older you get, the better you get. It's
that's
I think the older you're just wiser. You only get crusty when you stop reading the news, when you stop knowing what's going on, when you're unplugged from culture. That's when you get crusty. Like my brother's only 45. He's already crusty. Like he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what podcast is. Like he's just not clicked in. I think once you get out of your 20s, you just avoid a lot of the useless drama. I think also too, if you find a person or you're kind of steady dating the same person, that also cuts out a lot of drama. It opens up a lot of your headspace for work and goals. Like if you're, I mean, I just when I was single, the amount of boys took up all of my 80-90% of my headspace, and the 10% was improv. So my brain was completely wasted. So
I totally agree. My mom's like 67 and she's like, I think that's how old she is, but she's totally like cool and young looking, and she's calling people bad, like politicians, bad words and getting suspended from Twitter. Like she's
yes,
cool,
I love that.
Have a good role model. She's so hot.
I want to be like, I want to grow up and be like Roseanne. I want to be like Joan Rivers. I think if you're funny, it doesn't, there's no such thing as a wall, like, and the wall is bullshit anyway. These red pill people are going, grandma, just letting you know you hit the wall. You're going up to your mom and saying she hit the wall. Like, it's just an insult. It's just
I'm kind of like, they kind of consider me in that red pill trad, Christian trad thing. And I kind of like walk the fence. Like I can't stand Pearl. I think that she just makes the problems worse with her. Like, yeah, she diagnoses things right, some of them, but like her solutions are ridiculous. So I'm getting really tired of that whole red pill movement.
Yeah,
honestly.
It does not seem that the goal is to help people. It seems the goal is clicks. And okay, I think the easiest thing to do is to validate people who are already angry about something. It's much harder to be like, okay, how do we change? What do you really want out of life? How do you like work to make yourself vulnerable again enough to approach a woman, ask them for a date after you've been burned, after you've been divorced, after someone has taken a lot from you? So
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things wrong, like in society, and men really do get the brunt of a lot of what's going on, and women aren't held accountable for their actions in a lot of ways. And I'm all for like fat shaming and slut shaming. Like I
love fat shaming. Yes,
I love fat shaming. I really don't love fat people. But yeah, like so I'm for all of that, but there has to be some like, grace and forgiveness, and people do realize that they've made a mess of their lives, and they want to get change or get better, or realize that they've been lied to by feminism for their whole lives, and they wake up, and there is some redemption there. There needs to be, or society is just going to fall apart. So I think that that's what the red pill misses, is the grace, the redemption, that whole part. But who am I? I'm just a 42-year-old
yes,
lady.
you cannot live your whole life without the opposite gender. Even if you, and I knew this because I was graduated college, very much a feminist. It's like, all right, well, you can't work. You can't work in corporate America. You can't meet a potential spouse. You can't really do anything, even hobbies, without interacting with men. And if you go through all that with a chip on your shoulder and you just don't want, you're going to limit your opportunities. You're going to give a bad impression. You're just going to repel people and things from your world.
Agree.
And I love this clip because this is, I don't know if this is red pill per se or just women who like to have things paid for them. So here was a birthday dinner. All these people went out, and at the end, these women are like, well, the man has to pay because you're a man.
I got the birthday girl and my wife.
This guy goes out with his wife, kid, and birthday girl. And there are these at least 3 women here saying it's all women here.
I'm not responsible for paying everybody. I got the birthday girl.
You invited everybody.
You invited all of us. I didn't invite you, but I didn't sign up for that. Okay, there's nobody else doing the.
But you participate. I know we ain't got shit.
I don't care how y'all do it.
I'm sorry. Dave, but you always pay, like, you're the only man at the table.
You're the only man at the table.
But I'm not obligated. I got my whole family.
I have mixed feelings on this, actually.
That's a $700 bill. Ooh, okay.
Only $700.
Tell me what you think.
I totally have mixed feelings on this. So like, I have gone to dinners like this, and my brother will pay for everybody. He's like, I'm the man. I want to pay for everybody. That's what I want to do. And I always see that as like chivalrous or whatever. And I think it's a very manly thing to do. If you invite people out, fine. But these days, that's not the expectation, like the expectation. And I always think that like, if you are going out to something like that, you expect to pay. And then if you don't, like, you don't complain like that. Like, if you can't afford to go out to dinner on your own, then
don't
you
go.
shouldn't be there. So it's like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that, because I love when people like James Klug does that a lot. My brother does that a lot. Like, good manly men that I know would be like, I got it, and put their card down. But then again, I mean, these women are acting like entitled, spoiled brats that, just wanted to be there for a free dinner. Like, pay your way. And they're the first ones to cry feminism, and they want equal equality in the workforce and all that. And then when they get hit in the face with it, they don't like it. Like, so they're hypocrites. But so that's why I'm like, a mixed emotions.
I agree with you. It is so nice when someone surprisingly picks up the bill and you're like, whoa, like I'm always just like, are you sure? Like, I will kind of just be like, can I give you some tip money? I have a lot of.
Yeah, you always offer. You feel obligated to offer. Actual Justice Warrior is notorious for that. Sean, he does that every time we're out, anytime, like any Amethyst dinner. It almost feels like you got to beat him to it, because he'll be the first to do that.
Oh, I married into an Italian family. It is vicious, the fighting for the checks that goes on. Like, you actually have to learn like sneaky little moves to try and get to the check first.
I got it once.
I'm not gonna spill all my secrets, but you do learn sneaky.
You basically have to go up in the beginning of the dinner and be like, hey, by the way, I got this.
Which was never, ever a thing that happened in my family growing up. Everyone would be like, it's just a bad vibe. And now, as an adult who does work, I take it as a point of pride the times that I can pay for my husband's parents, or like, just, if we're out with my husband and my stepson, like, no, it's like I like to pay. It feels good. I almost do have an ego about it. Like, sometimes I feel a little competitive, but like, if you're out at a thing and someone picks up the bill, great. I never expect that, but don't show up to something like that without cash in your pocket, without your credit card ready to split.
It's a bonus. It's not like it's not a requirement, and they shouldn't have expected it that way. But like I said, they'll be the first ones to cry like, oh, equality for women and DEI and, all that nonsense that they do. And then when they get hit with it, they're like, I don't want any part of this. You're a man. You should pay. Stop.
I wonder if the man, so the man brought his wife and his kid, but then also paid for the birthday girl. So he's friends with the birthday girl. I wonder, did the birthday girl actually make the call and invite those other girls, or did the man invite those other girls? Because I see some people in the chat saying, like, I can see how the inviter should have to pay. But then again, if money is an issue, I'd be like, oh, we're going to Cipriani, or we're going, I don't know, it's the only nice restaurant I can think of. We're going here. God, could we go somewhere a little cheaper? Like, money is a little bit, I don't know. Would I say that? I think I would, maybe if I couldn't afford it, I would say like, oh, I don't think I can do it. Or I would at least be like, maybe go and eat an appetizer and have a seltzer and an appetizer. And then you're in a position where you're like, okay, well, I only spent, well, then, the bill always gets split at times like that. So I probably would just like take, even if I couldn't really afford it, I probably would just like be like, oh, it's a birthday, I'm just gonna take the hit, and I'll cool it in other ways during the week financially.
It's more about the humility, though. Like, these women have no humility. They have no like couth. Even if you felt that way, where's your decorum? You're gonna sit there and argue with the guy? Like, you look
in front of the birthday girl.
Oh, yeah, and ruin her birthday, make her feel uncomfortable. Like, it's her responsibility now to figure it out and like to make everybody feel better. These people have no class. That's what that is.
It's very unclassy, because definitely you don't want to fight in front of the birthday girl. Because then, if that were me, I'd feel horrible. I'd be like, oh, great, now you guys are fighting.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'll just go for it.
I think these women are doing that on purpose they're trying to humiliate the man in front of his wife, in front of the birthday girl, to get him to just be like, fuck, all right, just shut up already. I'll just pay for it, which I don't appreciate that, because it's like that in public manipulation, shaming is very icky.
Completely. It's gross.
We don't know the resolution. That's what's good. I feel like tune in next week. We got to find out what happened.
It looked like women were walking out.
Looked like they were just walking out without paying.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Oh, and then there's also the person, hi Frank, who recorded and uploaded the video. Yeah, you wonder if that person chipped in. Probably not. It looks like
everything is fake or like staged, because I fall for these things. I'm like the most gullible person on the planet. Like it was Ashley Sinclair that was like, Hillary Clinton put me on a list. And I totally believed that was real. And so like, I have like a lot of boomer mentality. So now instead of being, now I'm more skeptical of like everything, because I've been had so many times. So now I think that these things are just like outrage clickbait too.
I know. Well, it's a natural human thing to want to believe what someone is telling you, like I'm on a list. Yeah, I'm sure they all had salads.
Yeah, right.
I want to know what these women ordered. I bet I'm going to go on a limb and say there was a lot of Hennessy at the table, a lot of maybe a syrupy martinis.
Yes, Hennessy and shrimp. That's probably what it was.
Sugary shrimp.
Hennessy and shrimp. I was a bartender for 11 years. I can say that.
Yes. What do Black people love to drink? I want to know. Profile them.
Hennessy, Heineken's, Long Island iced teas. They want as much bang for their buck as they can get. It used to be like Alizé and Hennessy and mix it together.
Alizé and Hennessy? That's like basically blue Gatorade.
Incredible Hulk. Yeah.
Oh God. That's not good. You got to make sure you drink something that's going to look good coming back up later. I learned that this one day when I had a bottle of rum chata. It was like my second date with Frank, and then I was puking it all up in the courtyard of my apartment.
It's actually sweet. It's like a dessert.
It was very good. And now
if you mix that with something, I forget what it is. It tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I forget what it is. It's a shot. I think it's like, it might be Southern Comfort or might be Southern Comfort or what is it called? The rum one. I forget. Captain
I could eat it with cereal. When I'm done being pregnant, I'll just eat that with cereal. You seem like a bartender, Lisa. You're like in charge. You have a good energy. You can stop shenanigans, I think.
I was horrible to people. I worked at this one bar where I worked there for 6 years, and thank God the owners loved me, because if people didn't tip me, I would throw ice at them. I wouldn't serve them. I would be like, no, there would be women there. It was a primarily like clubby.
It sounds like a Coyote Ugly situation. Yeah.
I just wouldn't serve you. I would charge 20% gratuity on beers because they would never tip. I was really, really like a rough bartender. I'm a rough person. So, but I was extra bad.
Did people appreciate that, or did they give you sass for it?
No, they hated me. I got punched in the head while I was ringing out a drink order, because that's a whole other story. But she just came. She didn't like that I embarrassed her in front of her friends, and so she came over the cash register, just snuck me. That was really fun.
A woman punched you in the head.
Oh, yeah. I helped with girl bouncing in a couple bars too. And I had a really weird life before politics. A really crazy one. And
you had to bounce women
at the North Star.
Not bar. Men. Would they just
no, women and men?
Midgets?
I mean, I could.
Oh,
they had me for women and men, but mostly when women were acting out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hung around Philly. I live in Philly, grew up here. And Philly's a rough town. And when you bartend at places like I did that were venues and dive bars, and, I did that club thing for 6 years, but I worked at really rough places on South Street and the North Star. They were venues.
Wow, you're from Philly. Wow. I watched this really fascinating video the other day about what's going on. So I guess the Kensington area is full of people who do drugs, just walking zombies. They're all doing trank and fentanyl, and they have necrosis on their arms and legs.
Yeah.
Literally this trank drug, which is meant for horses, which is supposed to give you like this cheaper whatever. It's horrible, but it actually it immediately kills your flesh, like one of the underlying layers, and you'll have these wounds that never heal, and these people, and it's like it's so cheap. And what they found with all these people that are on drugs is they start on prescription drugs, like someone in the family, and then they can't spend as much for that, so then they go to this cheaper, like more disgusting, horrible stuff. And basically that Kensington area used to be like a decent neighborhood, but over time it just became I guess like the Irish were there and they were kind of in control of the drug cartel.
So my family's from like right around the corner. Like there's Port Richmond and Kensington kind of like butt up together. And my family's from that Port Richmond area. And I used to live like 25 Lehigh, like right around there. You know, Savannah Hernandez, I took her here last year. I took her to Kensington. Her and I went there by ourselves and started filming, and she got attacked. But we talked to.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, we got a bottle of piss thrown at us that was like whatever. We almost got kidnapped.
This means they like you.
Yeah, they definitely like almost tried to kill us, kidnap us. And but anyway, we talked to the addicts, and they were saying that the trank like wears off faster than the fentanyl. So basically almost all of them, they started out with like oxys, and then they would go to heroin, and then now it's fentanyl. But the fentanyl, like it's almost cut completely with trank, and now it's just trank, and that because it's cheaper and it wears off quickly, so they have to like use more, and then it literally eats away at their flesh to where we saw like bones, like we saw flesh wounds so bad that you can see their bones, and they won't let you in recovery hospitals because like if you want to go get help for rehab, because they're not wound care centers and they don't have so then you have to go get that like healed up first, but you can't get it healed up if you keep doing the drink.
Yeah.
And so they try to heal those up, and then you can get a bed. But it's a nightmare down there. There's this place called Prevention Point down there that they're giving out free needles, but then the addicts will take the needles and sell them for like $2 a piece to get more drugs. It is a total nightmare. It's completely lawless down there. We called the cops because Savannah got her cameras broken and the security guard wouldn't give her her phone back, and they just didn't show up. In my neighborhood in Philly, I had to chase a bad guy down the street, and the cops are here in 6 minutes. So it's like completely lawless down there.
And I guess with there's this fascinating fun fact. It's either a liquid form of either like fentanyl or trank that now they're able to get in a powdered form from Wuhan. Like a Wuhan lab makes this powdered trank or fentanyl, which wouldn't be used by veterinarians. It's literally made specifically because it's easier to pulverize into this drug for humans. And it's like this war between the cartels, which control the liquid, or the I guess the bogus bad veterinarians that can get the liquid version of it, versus the powdered stuff that's coming in from Wuhan. And it's like, how do you not put two and two together? How do you go, oh, like China's trying to they're trying to kill us from every angle, and it's all very deliberate. Then the property value goes down in these areas. And then they were describing like Temple University, the borders basically this terrible area, but the locals have seen, and maybe you can like confirm this, the property value will go down, and then Temple or these realtor companies will go in and buy whole blocks. They'll clear out all the homeless. The property value's down. They'll buy it up, and then they'll throw in some juice and yoga places and apartment buildings, and then they can just jack up the price again, and they'll just kind of move the crackheads.
Well, they've been doing that, but my husband went to Temple, and but the increases on like attacks on students and things like that, and secondary like shootings and robberies has been skyrocketing too, because that borders North Philly, which is like one of the worst parts of Philadelphia, or one of the worst parts of any city in a country. It's really rough there, and that's what they don't care. We act like these people care. We have a Soros-backed DA who's just letting these people out time and time again. And the city's falling apart. The police hate the DAs because I talk to them and they help me. But yeah, our city's junk, and people who go to Kensington are like, it's worse than San Francisco. It's worse than everywhere. There's needles everywhere, people lining the streets. I think a cop was just shot there a couple days ago in Kensington.
Wow.
I don't know if he survived in the leg. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. It's a war zone. It doesn't look like anything. It looks like a zombie apocalypse movie, and I'm not even exaggerating. You got to see it. When you're not pregnant, I'll take you down there, Chrissy. You can.
Ooh, how
I'll
exciting.
take you down. You can make jokes about
gosh.
these people because there's enough to joke about. We had one guy when we were there with Savannah. There's an elevated train, and he's naked. And he's hanging from the thing, not on a stop, just like he climbed up there. He's dropping his cell phone to this other lady down like in his like sweatshirt. And the train stops, not on the platform, just where this guy's hanging, and lets this naked man on. Like, it's wild. It's crazy down there.
He's naked, except for a sweatshirt, which he's using to drop a cell phone down with.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's totally bananas. I'll take you down there. It's crazy. We have there are guys that live around the bar a corner from us. They'll go with security. We went by ourselves the first day, and the second day we were like, we might need security, so they help us out. They're willing to come and watch over us.
That is so scary. I would never go to a college that bordered something like that. I just think that's
they all do. I went to Penn and Penn is attached direct. I went to Penn, but West Philly's just as bad. That's where I don't know if you know this, but I was doing a thing with James Klug. We had a big sign that said, Trump isn't a racist. And we were doing like one of those Let's Talk videos, and Antifa came up and like pulled my hair, and we got surrounded by like 50 guys in black bloc, and the police had to escort us out. And that's like right off Penn's campus. Like it's terrible. So it's like all these major universities that are in cities are always bordered by these horrible neighborhoods.
Did they know you were there, Antifa, or did they just sort of find you?
Well, we had the sign and we were asking questions, and then they were like, you're conservative, you're, right wing, we hate you. And I think James got hit in the leg with like a baton. There's video of it. It's like, it's wild. Of course, it was like a little girl looking boy that was the one that like pulled my hair. Like, you're pulling my hair? What are we, 5?
Yeah. You're like, all right, Elliot Page, calm down.
Like, no. But they're just ridiculous.
How does it feel doing those types of, like, obviously you're just looking for a regular conversation, but you're met with confrontation because people are triggered and they don't want to have a paradigm shift because that is not comfortable. But how do you, I guess it's like, you got to love it because it's like that adrenaline rush. It's like you got to be okay with conflict. You have to know your shit. You have to be calm.
It's really fun. I do a lot of those with James. We also did, I would go around with the boys like Richie McGinnis and Elijah and James and stuff and film the undercover Black Antifa riots, like the Black Lives Matter Antifa riots in the summer of love 2020. That was fun. Talk about adrenaline rush. That stuff was wild. And it was
Elijah got a tooth. I don't know if he had a tooth knocked out.
That was in Philly.
His mouth was bleeding.
That was in Philly that happened. Yeah. I didn't go out for that one because I was driving around picking everybody up. But yeah, that was in Philly. That was a dangerous night. James almost died that night. They almost caught him. He ran for his life. Elijah got beat up in the dollar store. They were looting a dollar store. A dollar store. Like, guys, everything in here is $1.
Maybe they're upset. Like, not everything's 99 cents anymore. They made it $1.29.
They looted a Wawa. A Wawa's like a 7-Eleven, like a Buc-ee's. Like
I love a Wawa. You can't. You can't
Wawa.
disgrace the Wawa. We need that.
It's a foul.
We need those places. How did you go from bartending to your political life?
My story is so crazy. I was a directionless, go nowhere troublemaker. I got kicked out of both high schools for fighting, and I was
fighting.
Yeah, for fighting. I was a terrible human.
Okay? You really are from Philly.
I was a terrible human being, and one day I followed a boy down the shore, and like then I worked for this place, and like, we'll pay for you to get your real estate license. So I was like, okay, I got my license, and I moved back to Philly, and I was doing this transaction for a bar actually, and I was bartending on the side while I was selling real estate. And this lawyer says to me, you could basically do my job for me. Why don't you go back to law school? Why don't you go to school, go get a law degree and come work for me? Because I was doing his work for him. And I was like, okay, maybe I will. So I went to this community college, enrolled in like this paralegal program. I did really well in that, so well that they put me in this weird honors boot camp thing where it was like, you got to be there at 9:00. You leave by 5. You get an hour break. If you're not there, they lock the doors. And I did 2 semesters there and miraculously did really well. And then I got into Penn. And there I studied
Ooh.
philosophy, politics, economics, and then I got an internship on Capitol Hill. And then I worked for a Middle East foreign policy think tank and started working with my favorite person in the world, which is Tommy Robinson. And then I started meeting like all you guys, like these YouTuber people. And so I was still working for Congress while still being
Who's
friends
Tommy
with all these.
Robinson? Should I
The
know
guy
who
in
that
the
is?
UK that got arrested for journalism. I threw his demonstrations. He had 3 demonstrations when he was in court in England, and then he got out. The Free Tommy demos. I was the one that organized them, and I helped him with his MEP campaign. So through him, I met like Avi Yemeni, and Avi was friends with Sydney Watson, and then like my YouTube kind of thing just grew, and that's how I got. And I met Cassandra Fairbanks in a bathroom in London. She was covering the Tommy thing, and her and I have become like super close since then. And then now I work for Tim. So like that's my story.
That's
it's like a
neat.
crazy one, but it was a good time for sure. But it's definitely a wild story. I was a
A
terrible
lot of
woman.
strong female friendships have been forged in bathrooms for sure.
Yes. She met me and my mom in the bathroom, and then that was it. Like, and then I met her in London, and we became friends. And then when I moved to DC, she was down there, and we had so many good times.
And when you were in DC, were you thinking you would get into politics? Like what?
Well, I moved to DC because I studied philosophy, politics, and economics in my undergrad at Penn. And I did a master in behavioral economics. And then I was like, I got an internship on Capitol Hill, and it kind of grew from there. I worked back in the district office and then down in the DC office all the way up to comms director. And it was a good time. I learned a lot about, like, I think that people always talk about like what Congress is like, and they don't know until you go down there and actually like are in the mix of things. So I hear a lot of things that come out. And I'm like, well, that's not really how.
There's more butt sex going on than I realized. I learned that recently.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I'm kind of offended. Like I hear everybody talking about like these orgies that happen and stuff. Not that I would ever participate, but like you're not going to invite
How
me.
come
Am I
they
not
didn't
attractive
invite
enough to
you?
be
You're
invited?
pretty.
I was never
Yeah.
invited. I
would
was never
be
invited.
offended.
I was never like treated inappropriately. I did have like 2 members of Congress kind of hit on me. But not bad, not where it made me feel uncomfortable. And I didn't work for them. So like, it didn't matter. Right. But like, yeah, I was like, if there are these parties and they say that like, they say the same thing about Turning Point too. Like, I know like people like to meet and drinks are involved and stuff like that. But if there's these like orgy parties, I've never been invited to one. And I'm kind of offended that I haven't, because am I not attractive enough to be invited to these orgy parties, or do I just seem like an uptight ass that I'm not cool enough to go?
I wonder if you were too low on the totem pole. I imagine all this stuff happens at the elite levels.
I didn't hang out with the staffers. I hung out with all the members. I can tell you stories about members of Congress. Let me tell you, there's some I really don't like.
I have a
conservative
dentist.
ones I don't like. But.
Really? I have a dentist, and he probably shouldn't have. He used to work in DC, and he tells me all the time, like he would be the dental hygienist for a lot of these people in DC. Like he said, he worked on Nancy Pelosi. He named other people whose names are escaping me, but like who are well-known guys. And he said they all have terrible dental hygiene. He said one time he was like getting pubes out of these guys' mouths that were like they weren't flossing, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, who? Tell me again. I'm like, I don't know if this violates HIPAA, but I'm loving these stories.
Yeah, some of these people are really like just gross. Some people are stupid. Some people are just so fake. There's so many people, especially like that are in the media and popular, that are like the fakest, like they're in it not to serve our country. They're 100% in it just to be famous and cool.
Kinda
like
famous.
it's just, oh, I'm so happy I'm out of there. I left there to like come and like stay home with my kids and be a not boss babe. Oh, sorry, Charlie. Not be a boss babe, because like that, like, I don't know. It's way better to be home with your kids than be a career woman. I'm just going to say that. Like,
I blame social media. I think there was a turn in politics similarly as there was in journalism, where people went from just focusing on doing their jobs well to like, ooh, I'm going to be a famous person. I want to be like a personality. It used to just be you were a journalist and the light was not on you. But now it's like, oh, I have to get the scoop. The attention has to be on me. And like similarly with our politicians too. It's like I have to
Yeah,
get
I
that
fell into
gotcha
that trap
moment.
too. I think that a lot of people fall into that. I remember falling into it thinking like, I don't want to stop working for Congress because what am I going to tell people I do? I don't want to be embarrassed about what I do. And that seems prestigious, right? Like, but I remember feeling like that and thinking, ooh, that's so cringe. Why would you feel like that? Like be proud of whatever it is you're doing if you're happy you're doing it. But I think that a lot of people fall into that because there is so much like emphasis on social media and like how great your life is. That's why I stopped posting on Instagram a lot because I don't know, just like I'm sick of all that pressure or whatever it is.
It would
Not
have
pressure.
to be a full-time job to like get my Instagram to a place where it was getting a ton of followers. Like you just have to, it has to be, and I take all the kind of photos. It's like me and a group of people after a podcast. No one's gonna jerk off to that. You know what I mean? So my Instagram, it's just been hovering at like 30K, which isn't nothing, but I just,
No, people do. You'd be surprised at what they're into, man. People are really Chrissy, just they'll do it just to this podcast for you.
I hope so. I know it's noon. It's noon here Eastern time. Maybe some people are at work, but I do hope someone at least thinks about pleasuring themselves to this podcast. I would be upset if no one did. So, yeah, that social media really it's a full-time job, and I always have this
Mhm.
conversation with all my stand-up girlfriends like, "Oh, we gotta put more clips out. That's what does well. It's the clips. Gotta do the clip." But it's to listen to yourself and then to edit your stuff together. It's like that's why you just gotta suck it up and get someone to make
Well,
clips for your
I know
set.
little people that are they have side hustles doing clips that they pull and you can pay them not a lot, but if you want some guys, I'll send them your way.
I
They do
love
little clips of course.
clippers.
Yeah.
I would love that. I always need more stand-up clips. So it's just so hard because you're supposed to tape all your sets and then listen back to them, and it's like, oh, that's me. Why am I even doing this?
No,
So
you're
that's
good at
so
what you
neat.
do.
What made you want to make the decision to step away from work and stay home with your kids?
This is gonna sound really, really awful, but I would be 100% honest with you. So I needed a job. And when I went back because I took a break from Capitol Hill and I really needed another job. And they're just for me and for the things I say and my like the articles that were written about me and all that horrible stuff. It was very hard for me to find like a regular corporate America job. So I took a job down in DC. And I got like a pied a terre, like a little apartment there. And I was coming home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday nights. And that's a 2.5-hour trip. But I was doing that so that like, cause my kids were in school here and all that stuff. And it got to the point I was down there for 2 years, like doing that lifestyle. And my daughter said like one of her classmates, their mother had died. And she's like, oh, I understand. I don't really have a mom either. Right. And like,
What?
I was coming home like that much. Like I really was. Right. But to not have your mother there to get you breakfast and to pack your school bag and to do your homework with you and to do your lunch with you every day. You know, people don't really realize that like, and yeah, women get judged, like men can go to the army and it's not the same, but like kids really do need their mother there. And
Aw.
it broke my heart like in half. And I went to my boss and I said, Randy, I love you. And I was like, I got to do something else. And thankfully Arsenal Media took me on. And then I don't know whatever happened with Arsenal Media, but like I transitioned to doing this booking for Tim and it saved my family. Like it saved my life. I have never been happier or more fulfilled than I
Wow.
am spending 98% of my time. I mean, my kids go to school and I do my booking stuff while they're at school, but I am the mom that if they get sick, if they go to the doctor, if they need absolutely anything, I'm immediately available for them. And it has changed my kids again. I feel so guilty for that time. Like I'll never get it back. But
How
I
many
mean,
years was that you were?
2, it was 2.
Okay.
And I've been home for a year and a half, like that I've stopped that. But it made a tremendous difference in my happiness. Like I didn't realize how like miserable and burnt out and missing my kids. Like I like rationalized it in my brain that it was the right thing to do because we needed 2 incomes and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
to watch it tear my little kids apart, it like they were little. They were 3 and 5 at the time, or no, a little older than that.
Your
I'm
one
sorry,
kid was 3. Your one daughter was 3 when
4
she
and
said,
4 and 6, 4 and
4
6.
when
Yeah,
she said that my mom isn't around either.
she was 8.
Oh,
She was 8 when she said that, or
oh
7, 8, and
God.
it literally, I don't really tell that story to anybody because it's like really embarrassing as a mother, but I think that these women who are like, I'm going to have a kid and I can do it all. Like, you're lying to yourself because it really does affect your children. And I know, because it happened to me firsthand, and I will never make that mistake again. And I harbor so much guilt for those years. So I think it's really important for people to be told the truth that, I hate to say it, like, you can't have it all. Like, you have to pick. I had a chief of staff one time who was a female tell me, I just had a baby, and she was like, you can either be a good mother or you can be a good employee. And I was horrified that she said that to me. I was like, what are you talking about? You could do both. I'm doing both. I'm a good mother now. And right. And then as I saw it play out, and I was giving 100% to my job, right, it was impossible to give 100% to my children. And it's just this lie that women are told that we can have it all. And maybe some people can, and they think they can get a nanny or whatever, but that's not you. It's never going to replace you being there full time. Maybe if you work from home, that's not the same, right? But if you work from home while they're still little and they're not in school, you're taking time away from them. So it was a sad but necessary awakening that I needed. But that's why, and it was super lucrative. I mean, I'm not making the money that I was making then, but it's still worth it. So
It's so true. I even feel like because I was working in corporate America up until like December of 21, and I even feel like you can't even give your boyfriend as much attention or quality time as you need to because your boss really becomes like your freaking work husband. I was making doctor's appointments for this guy. I was doing all his I was shopping for his wife. I was making all of his travel plans. When he was in the hospital, I would visit him like several times a week for 6 weeks. Like, it's just, you
and they're
pour
calling you at
yourself
11 o'clock at night, and you got
all
to
the
go
time on the weekends. Oh,
Mhm.
when we were working remotely, I would go to the bathroom. You'd be like, why aren't you answering your phone? Why is the voicemail full? Like, they want every ounce of you. I'd make a whole big travel itinerary folder for him to go away. He'd lose the whole thing, and I have to like make a new one on the weekend and FedEx it to him. And maybe it's like, maybe I was great at that job because it's so easy for me to just like completely give myself away. It took maybe weeks for me to just completely stop going on my lunch hour. And just because you always feel like it's never enough, and you're always a sneeze away from getting fired. But I was there 6 years. And I always had other jobs before that too. But
that's what people don't realize. Like, my dad always used to say, you're one a-hole away from getting a new job. And it's true. Like, that's like, you're always one asshole away from getting a new job. And it's not that way with your family. Like, your family's supposed to be forever, and you should be giving all that you can to them. And so, the rest is auxiliary to what your family life is.
And then you get into you got to make it work. However, I've met women that are not met. They're like my friends, but I see what happens to them. Like, once they have kids and they're still working, and I don't know, maybe it's just they're in the wrong job or it's the wrong combination, but you can tell they're burnt out. You can tell it's like they become kind of just this nasty version of themselves where they're just kind of berating their husband in public around friends and family, like saying nasty shit. And I'm just like, wow, this is bringing out the worst in you. And also, like, when's the last time you've relaxed? Or I know it's like you're not sleeping because kids are, a handful, but it's like, it's sad to see.
Take that out on your children. You get like short, like, I'm doing a work email, like, and they're like, what? I don't know what a work email means. You know what I mean? And they're like, mommy, can you cut up an apple for me? And I'm like, I'm doing work. It's really, really bad. I that's kind of why, like, people say that I was like part of the red pilled, like Christ pilled kind of content, because I talk like this, like how it really does harm women. Just my solutions would be different than theirs. But I think it's important for women to know that you've been lied to by feminism, sexual liberation of women, and this idea that you can be a boss babe and have it all. Just like not true. It's just not true. And I know that from experience. And maybe some people are more capable than I am, fine. But like I'm pretty capable in general as a person. And I'm telling you, your kids suffer. So
there's always a cost. Like I remember I was interviewing Jasmine Jafar, who like would be textbook boss babe. Like she makes a lot of money. She was on whatever podcast. She's made a lot of the rounds. She was on my show. I think Tree of Logic had her on. And while she's so successful and confident, and it makes a ton of money, it actually came up in our interview that you know, like I saw a direct causation. Because so much of her time is spent like banter time, headspace is like getting back to the subscribers, that even if a guy that she liked or wanted to date was in her DMs trying to make that first impression, like she's already like spent, she has no bandwidth for banter for trying to date somebody because it's already, she's spent it already
all her
on
mental capacity.
Yeah. And I wonder if it seemed like she did sort of put two and two together. Not that I am anyone to tell her what to do, but even people that look like they have it all and they're crushing it and they're making tons of money, there's always a cost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very much blinded by feminism too, because, and you pair that and they take advantage of women who, it's very easy to believe in the dismantle the patriarchy bullshit when you don't have a great relationship with your dad. If you've been abused by a male family member, if you've been in just bad relationships, if you're not great at picking guys, then you're gonna be like, oh, all my interactions with men have been shit. Of course, it's the patriarchy. So, boom, there you go. Feminism is immediately going to attract these women that just have not had great experiences with men. And it's going
to get worse. I think that like the red pill is actually creating more feminists, because there are these women that are like, okay, I'll go submit to my man and I'll go do whatever. And then he winds up like cheating on her and like running through her and then whatever.
You
and
feel
she's
stupid.
Like, she's like, wait, I was just submissive. I did everything that they told me to do, and I'm still getting played. I'm still getting abused. Like, or even worse. Like I've seen these Reddit chats where these women are like, I listen to Pearl and this is like where it got me. And, but the problem is that like, they're not saying like, pick the right kind of guy, right? Like they're submitting to any man, not like a biblical man or not like a good, they have no discernment skills. And they honestly think that still putting low cut tops on and shaking their butt on Instagram is attracting the right kind of guy, because that's what society tells them. So, so I believe that you should like submit to your man. Your man should be the head of your household, but it needs to be the right man first before you can implement all that. So all these women, they get hurt and scarred. And now they're like, well, I'm going back to feminism because that works out better for me. It's easier to be in control of my life and be a boss babe and just live whatever, but they don't realize how it's going to hurt them down the road. So it's a big mess.
Right. You think in the near future, okay, committing to your work, you're in control of it. You're in control of your success, your money, your time. Okay. You're not leaving yourself vulnerable to be like heartbroken. I'm not going to be one of these people who has kids and feels like I have no life and no personality now. But if you, then what, 20 years later, you're going to be like, fuck, I guess I did want to have kids. And now it's much harder. And harder to meet somebody, harder to like cook one up in a dish somewhere. So you just got
dying alone is like a real thing. Like
dying
you
alone.
Don't have kids around, and your friends. Like as you get older, you kind of like make your circle smaller. Then even older than that, people die off. Right? You're really going to be on your deathbed. Like, yep, I really had a lot of fun. Like smoking pot.
Yeah, is your boss going to be there?
Right, like
wow, you were great. Your boss is going to be dead too.
No, your boss is going to replace you. Like everybody, and everybody forgets that they're so good at their job that they're not replaceable, but everyone is replaceable. Like you're a cog in a wheel. I hate to break it to you. So
absolutely. Like once my boss kind of figured out where I was politically, and which you can't get fired for, but you can get fired for not taking the vaccine, which is exactly what happened. I was like, oh wow, like all these times I bent over backwards, it just doesn't, and like, I don't know, my heart may have not been in it. I'm not saying I was like a shitty employee, but I always felt like it was never enough. So anyway,
I mean, I felt like that even with the people that like I love my old boss. I still talk to him and his wife. I still help them with political things and stuff like that. Like we were tight. We were like family. I used to go when I went to Texas, I would stay at their house. I love them. But even then it felt like it was never enough. Like no matter how hard I was working, like, and they were the best people in the world. Like that's just if you're a hard worker, you're always going to feel like it's never enough. That's a you thing too, like you have high standards for yourself. That's normal. As you should. Like everybody should feel like that.
Okay, good. Right. So like what's the solution? It is, we need to be teaching men and women like how to pick better. And I think women think like they dress a certain way on the weekend. They post photos where they look a certain way. I think a lot of women think that they're casting a wide net. Like, oh, if I look as good as I can and I have all my shit out and I look as hot as possible, that I will attract not only high value men, but they're not thinking of attracting low value men. They're just thinking I am attracting everybody by looking and presenting myself this way, and then I'll be able to choose the best of what comes through. I don't actually think they think if they dress a little bit more modestly or tweak their social media presence that they actually could attract a better quality of dude. I don't know if that's a thought.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
Like, oh, what? Men love porn. Men watch porn. Therefore, I should look and act kind of like a porn star because.
They look on Instagram and they see these girls who are doing that and they have like 100,000 followers and men liking every picture that they do. And they're like, okay, well, I want that attention from men too. I'm going to do this. I know I was one of them. I used to have pictures of my boobs out too. Right. Like, I'll be honest, I wanted men to think that I was attractive. And so like, to think that like women, even as adult women, even married women, don't want other people to think that they're physically attractive is just like another big lie. Like everybody cares what people think about your looks. They just do. So I don't understand why that's like, I put makeup on for you, Chrissy, right? Because there's going to be there and I don't want people being like, oh, she's ugly, which they'll say anyway, it's the internet. But like the point is that like, women do care about these things. And so what the problem is that the men are facilitating that women are actually naturally followers, right? And they want the male attention. And if the males stop giving them attention, start giving the attention to like the ballerina farm chicks, then women will go do that.
Ballerina farm.
But that's true. Women will go do that, right? They'll go say, this is actually getting the attention. So while I say that women should be held responsible for themselves, and they should, it also like, I don't mean to be all biblical, but like God made man first. He's a leader, right? So he needs to lead and women will follow, and women do things for male attention. And I don't understand why that's like left out of the conversation ever. Men really control that. They gave up everything.
Because women, like we see the kind of messages and comments that men leave on these girls like photos. And you're like, oh, I want that. Like, and like you'd be dating somebody like, wow, look who all they're following online. I guess that must be what they want.
Yeah, but that's not who they marry. Like, that's not who they wife up. That is who they run through. Women need to hear that. Like, yeah, they'll like you. They'll slide in your DMs. They'll bang you a couple times, but they're not going to call you, and they're definitely not going to marry you. And you need to be your own gatekeeper and know that. But there's no real women out there saying that. And what they're saying is they're calling them hoes, which fine. So be it, they are, right? Like these women that have like these high body, but they're not telling them like, yo, God loves you, you're redeemable. And the way to fix that is to stop doing this, right? Like,
yes,
they're caught like,
and it's not like you have to be a cookie cutter. Like if you're not, right, I always use ballerina farm, but if you're not about to make sourdough bread by, from scratch in your kitchen, like if you're not like a thin, chic, blonde girl, with like a $20,000 oven behind you. Like, you don't have to change your personality to fit this thing that would make you the wifeable version of yourself.
By the way, Ballerina Farms, as much as I like her kitchen is always so disgustingly dirty. But like, if you watch her making food, I'm like, are you going to clean your stove? Please just clean your stove. it's really gross. Like, take a look next time. And look at how nasty her stove is. I'm like, I won't want to eat anything on that.
Effortlessly gorgeous. She like just gave birth like a couple of weeks ago and then was in this
Miss
kind
America
of a pageant. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, her kitchen's filthy, gross, dirty. Look,
if you're watching,
I don't know if I'd eat that sourdough bread because It's dirty. Ugh.
Oh,
It's like
shit.
Taylor Lorenz. Wasn't Taylor Lorenz the one that put like her thermostat up and like she likes it really hot and everybody's like, oh, she really is a lizard person. But the thermostat itself
yeah.
was so dirty that there were like dirty fingerprints on it. I was like, okay, forget
Ew.
the heat. Clean your house. Like clean your
You
thermostat. Clean
do.
your light
People forget to clean those high touch areas, the doorknobs, the light switches.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta do it. Take a day, take the magic eraser, go, even
Yes.
the sides of your doors, things you don't think about.
But even if you're going to post a picture, like I see these girls, they post pictures in the mirror and they've got like the spit marks on their toothpaste. Like, you're posting a picture, go wipe that down. You're posting your own thermostat. Clean it before you post it online.
Yeah, get a little Windex
It's
going.
like the chirping. They just don't care.
No, they don't care.
Yeah,
Or they
it's
don't. They
gross.
take a selfie in their room. It's like, clean your room for it. Well, my room's a fucking disaster, but that's why I don't take photos in here.
Right,
Oh,
so you know
Michael Amato, thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Lisa, just saying hi. We used to hang at the bar she worked at on South Street in Philly, and protect her and the staff when she was a youngin'. Glad to see you're
Yes,
kicking butt, Lisa.
true.
Proud of you.
I think that
Do you
was
remember
Mako's.
Michael?
Yeah, I think that was Mako's. Yep. Nice to see you, Michael. Oh my God, that's so
What was
weird. That
his-
never
what was
happens
his-
to me.
Do you
Just
remember
so
his
easily
drink?
crossed over.
What would
Yeah.
Michael drink?
Oh, I don't remember. That. I think if he's talking about Mako's, that was a wild ride upstairs. We had like the pagans in there a lot, and there were like fights that would break out. And Mako's was like the liquor upstairs was caged. Like that's how rough it was.
Ooh.
Like you had like a cage that I would have to, yeah, we had a lot of fist fights up there. I mean, but that they were good times. Thanks, Michael. I do remember you. But yeah, I don't remember what Michael drank. But
Everyone needs at least one bartending job. I have the best memories from when I used to work at the Patriot in New York City. It was like the dingiest, dirtiest. In New York City, you need experience to get a decent job, and I had none. And I just saw a sandwich board outside this place that says "Shameless Saturday Night Sluts Wanted," and I was like, I have a feeling I won't need experience to work here.
I used to have a
And-
shirt that said "slut," and it's an instant slut. Just had alcohol, like because it looked like a detergent ad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I would wear it. I was like I told you, I was a train wreck of a person. But yeah, those are the days. Bartending's so much fun.
It is
Like,
fun.
Yeah,
It's
it's a good
the
starter
best.
job.
Everyone should do it. Isabel Alive, Chrissy, you are beautiful and loved. Oh my God. Thank you, darling.
You are.
Michael Amato, back again. I worked at the South Street
Oh, Lickety Split.
detail, and my post was 4th and South at Lickety Split. Great times down there. It was a shit show. Great times with Lisa and staff. Ooh.
Yeah, and so he's more the bike cops is what it looks like. Yeah,
Okay.
and South Street. I worked all over South Street. I worked at 4th and South, 3rd and South, in between 4th and 3rd and South. I was a bad person then. So
Bad.
Especially
How?
outside.
What? Just drinking and having fun?
I fought a lot,
Okay. All right. The fighting.
fighting, bouncing, drinking, staying up late. I just wasn't a good person. Like my dad used to be like, "Can you be a citizen?" That's what he would say to me. And I'm like, "Sure, I'll be a citizen."
K-Max, thank you for the super chat. Is Philadelphia or New York king at letting criminals go free with crooked DAs? I keep hearing more and more about Philadelphia having crime and looting. What's the status of the two cities with crime? Oh, I mean, New York's always been bad. Well, it's been way worse since 2020. But who is
Philly's
worse?
around it.
Maybe Philly's worse. I
Philly's
don't know.
really bad. I had a guy breaking into my car. It was like 4:00 in the morning, and I was like in my little silk jammies, and somebody hit my car, and I haven't gotten it fixed. So when you open the door, it's a very distinct, like loud, like cracking sound because it's in the joint. And I hear that, and I look, and there's this man like in my car, like rummaging through it, packing bags up, because you keep those grocery bags in there,
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
packing stuff up. So I'm like, I start filming. I was like, maybe I should call the police, right? I'm like, they're not going to come by the time he's out. I was like, so I started filming, and I was like, maybe I should. So I called, and I see him getting out of the car, and so he's getting out of the car and he's leaving, and the police still weren't there. And as I'm like running down to the front door to like go outside and like confront this guy, I don't know what I was thinking. It was 4:00 in the morning. The police show up on each side. So the guy like drops some of the stuff and he runs. And so I'm like, the cops, I'm like, he's here. He's down the street that way. And so we all start running. I'm like barefoot in my jammies in Philly. And then like, he kind of like resisted a little. They threw him up against a car. And he's like, man, please, crying to me. And I was like, F you. Like, no. And so anyway, so they
You're
held
such
him.
a terrible ally.
And so they held him. And so the detective, they brought me down to the station and they were like, please show up for court because we have all these like liberal people that are like, no, let them go. And like
Wow.
they were like, okay, I got some of my stuff or whatever. And they don't show up for court. But then the DAs don't really prosecute. And so I like made sure to show up, but that guy was let out. He was like let out the next day. And then our hearing came up and of course he didn't show and he's wanted for two other things. So they put him on a bench warrant, like a whatever. And he's still not sure. It's been 2-3 months and they still haven't found him. Like that's what they just do. They just like let these people out and keep coming. And I live in a really, the cops that drove me home that night, they were like, you live in the second safest neighborhood in all of Philly. But it's not that way for other places. They like when they don't even come in hits places. The guy would tell me, the cop that drove me home, in your neighborhood it's different, but in these bad ones, we don't answer unless it's a shooting or it involves a gun. He's like, we don't answer the calls. That's what he told me. Like, it's not good. It's not good. And they all hate the DAs. They're all like, please come and like, you know, tell these DAs what you want. The guy was like, I was like, I want him charged with this. And this guy looked at me like I was nuts. I was like yelling at this DA, but yeah, they'll just throw him out. And the judges are liberal too. So the cops are like, their backs against the wall. And they pay them
cops are mostly right wing, mostly more on the right, and the DAs are all liberal, basically.
Yeah. And these poor cops, like, they get paid nothing. Like they literally get paid nothing to go out and face these people, put their life at risk, and then they let them out the next day. Like it's really a slap in the face of the cops. At least the ones that I know. I mean, the cops that I know here in my neighborhood are excellent. I know them by their names. They drive by my house. I wave to them. They watch my kids' school. They're fantastic. But it's the DAs that are a problem. It's our whole judicial system is wildly unfair. Even the civil sector. Like if you have money, you can railroad and ruin a person's life, just even if you're wrong, even if you have no evidence, just because you have money and resources.
Oh, look what they're doing to Trump. E. Jean Carroll, right? She had zero proof of Trump sexually harassing her, essaying her, whatever.
No, I think her lawsuit was he said that he didn't rape her, and then he said that she lied about it, and then she said him saying that she lied about it was defaming him. You're not even allowed to defend yourself. You're not even allowed to be like, I didn't do that. That person's a liar. You're not allowed to say that. 83 million. But that was more than what the judges, I mean, their lawyers were even asking for. That will
like
probably
5 times more, wasn't it?
I think 8. But it will get turned over on appeal, apparently. Like there is, because I was involved in some civil litigation like this. And if the jury awards too high of an amount, the judge can actually be like, no. Like that's not, it's not commensurative or it's punitive. And so that's why people think that when they do these settlements, they're going to get a big payout like you see on TV, like these big high televised ones. But most settlements are not even close to that high. And the jury gets to decide what they think is fair and punitive.
Is the goal just to bleed him dry or what, to just waste his time, or both?
Both. Bleed him dry, waste his time, embarrass him, give the Democrats something to talk about. Like he lost this and is charged on that. And, they're just going to try to railroad him any way they can. It's funny. You were talking about that clip earlier about how the media is like, they lie about Trump, but the media was lying just about the economy again, like saying it was up or whatever.
Oh yes. I'm going to play this. Yeah. From Colbert. I always I should do a weekly, what's new in shenanigans, in late night TV. The only time I even talk about Colbert is when he does something ridiculous. This is insane. So this is Colbert. I imagine this was this week or recently. This is this tweet's from Lisa Liberty. Legacy media and their propaganda shows are dying, and I, for one, couldn't be happier. Most people have wised up and aren't buying the lies they're still trying to sell. Tell me, it's like you're a writer for a comedy show, or you host a late night comedy show. Tell me if what you watch in this clip is something that would ever occur to you to just organically do.
Oh, there's good news. There's more good news for Biden. The economy is cooking right along. The Dow's north of 38,000 today. Wages are up. Unemployment below 4% for 23 months in a row. And today, the Commerce Department announced the economy grew at 3.3% rate in the last quarter. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's a little technical, but according to macroeconomic theory, number go up equal good.
This is so condescending out the gate. It's like, oh, you don't feel like things are good? Well, it's because you're dumb.
Can you check me on that?
You don't know that things are good.
Okay. For all last year, bunch of people were predicting a recession, but instead, every economic indicator of Bidenomics is positive, or as the news people call it,
It's an economy that is cooling on the inflation front, but still showing growth on the spending front.
No one is buying this.
Perfect Goldilocks scenario.
Listen to what they keep saying.
It is Goldilocks.
This is Goldilocks.
that's right, Jack. Things are going Goldilocks.
Proving that all the media is scripted and they all say
particular.
exactly the same thing.
Real particular about the porridge. Not me, though. Hot, cold,
They all
don't
get their
bother me.
same
I'll toss that bowl
scripts.
down. Too sweet, soft foods, doctor's orders.
And look how cool Biden is.
aren't
He
what they
wears
used to be.
aviators. Remember
But-
when he wore aviators in the
Lost
school?
Lost the words there a little
I
bit.
heard some numbers
So
today.
cringe.
Can't win
They're
every
not
time.
telling you. Like the economy went up 3%, right?
Even though it looks like
government
there's no
spending, state and local, went up 3.5% for state, 2.7% for federal. So they're looking at all this spending, plus credit cards have gone up a ton. So all that spending that they're seeing in this last quarter, it all comes from the government that's spending it, not us, right? And a little bump because of Christmas or whatever. But if you look at like the homeless population, over 600,000 people this year reported homeless. 71,000 of them are new. So that's like, I think it's a 12% increase from last year, but it's a 48% increase from 2015. So that's wild. And the other thing is that families are saying it takes $11,000 more to buy, like to live and to provide for their family this year than it has before. And last year it was 14,000. So if you're talking about how things have gone up a little and like economy up, good as compared to what? Good as compared to shit last year. Like all this is just a ton of lies. And because these people that watch these like little animal sheep people that watch this stuff, and this is where they get their news and they think it's funny, like they won't actually look into the numbers or where any of the information comes from or how we're getting there. They have no idea about the spin at all. It's really sick that, and he's showing that the mainstream media is doing it. Like he just basically owned himself. 5 different media outlets are saying the same thing. Clearly they got talking points.
What?
Yeah. What even is that? Like I was like trying to understand that analogy. Goldilocks, like what? It's too hot, too low, just right. Like
things are going great. No, it's just Goldilocks. It's just something for people to say when they don't want to really look into it.
It's really retarded.
He is retarded. He should be ashamed of himself. None of this is funny. It's like he only gets attention when he's dancing in a vaccine costume or telling people you might be spending a fuck ton in groceries still and have insane credit card debt, but you don't know it yet, but the economy is actually doing better. And just ignore the billions that we've been giving Ukraine. Just ignore the new wars that we've started. Just ignore the millions of illegals flooding into the country.
Yeah, people are forgetting that while wages, right? While there's like, wages were up 13%, right? Inflation is up 17% since 2021, since he took office, 17%. So even if the wage growth is there, it's not even keeping on pace with inflation at all. Like not even a little bit. Like they're just like gaslighting the people, and we're all just going to be too stupid to realize. But I don't think that many people are stupid. I think there's a lot of people. That's why Trump is having a resurgence and is now beating Biden like by 1 or 2 points in the polls, because people are like, yo, I go to get my groceries and it's $200 for 2 bags of food, and this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's retarded. I hate everybody.
A recession and the economy looks good on paper. People feel like it's not bouncing back. And this bad feeling, the media has dubbed the vibe session.
So now they condescend to people who actually don't feel like things are
way
good.
To bring the nation out of a vibe session.
Oh, it's
this
just a vibe.
Stephen Colbert's vibe session.
So cringy.
What's cooking, my fiscal cats?
This isn't funny.
You
Who
out
is this
there
funny
counting
to?
your ducats? Let me brighten your economic outlook with my bongo sonic output. Hit it.
This is about it. It goes on.
Percent in the fourth quarter. So no need to go slow, Joe. The
You know that
vibe
audience
session will
last
be
time was
jazz
lighting up a lot.
suscitated. And if
Oh yeah, They're definitely sweetening this audio. They just add in extra laughs because this was a pre-taped thing. So they probably just they go to the tape, they play that while it's already sweetened, and
Not
then
funny.
they have the live audience laughing at it in real time. That's
There's been some
so
really funny comedians coming out there. There's that Ben guy, I think that's his name. He's been saying
Ben
like
Bankus.
really,
I think I've had him on a couple times.
he's really fun. He's been cracking me up. Like I'm not like a big stand-up comedy person, like a little bit. I'm not funny. And so I don't laugh a
Nobody
lot.
is. Most people are like not seeking out stand-up comedy. That's why the
I
clips are
used
so
to watch
important.
some here and there. I used to think like Dane Cook was funny when he did the like really outrageous stuff, but like only not his show, only his like special thing. Because he would say like really horrific things, and I kind of thought that was funny, but I don't really seek it out. But this guy, I've noticed him, he's pretty funny. But
Bankus is good. Yeah. What's your process like for booking guests? Is it for TimCast overall or just the Culture War show?
it's just the Culture War show. And sometimes Cassandra and I, like, we have like overlap, or if I see somebody that she booked on like the schedule, like, ooh, can I steal them too? Or if I get somebody, sometimes they're like Culture War, they don't think that it has as much name ID. Like we've had Culture War episodes hit 500,000, but because we're on Tenet Media, we're in the like average in 100,000 views per episode. But so they'll want that like extra, punch. So they're like, can we do both? And then I'll have to work with her to get both of get them to do the Culture War and IRL. But basically I just think about a topic that's relevant or that Tim would want to talk about. And it originally started out to be like a debate thing, but it's really hard to find two leftists to go on, like a leftist to go on versus a righty. Like it's almost like Destiny's the only person that like is always like, yes, yes, yes. Occasionally Hunter Avalon will do it, but like for the majority, I got Cenk Uygur. That was interesting.
Ooh.
But for the most part, like we had some bigger ones when he was on like the other, when he was on like Tim's channel. We've only done like 6 or so on these, but so I just think about a topic, or I see something that's going on, or I see people challenging each other to debates on Twitter, and I reach out and say, hey, can we set this up? People give me a lot of good suggestions, and I have from being in the business so long, I have like a really good Rolodex. And if I don't know somebody else I know knows somebody. So it's, I think of an idea and I, throw it up there. I think this week we're having the girl that did the undercover porn hub expose. And her boss,
I had her on.
Arden Young, right?
Yep, Arden Young. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, so we've had 2 trannies debate, not trannies, 2 like drag queens debate if kids should be, and like if trannies should do drag queen story hour. That was like in the beginning. We had Cenk and Tim just doing a one-on-one. We had a good one with Emma Vigeland and Sean, actual Justice Warrior, and that really turned into an attack on Tim. But like we've had some really cool, interesting episodes. We just did one on like the end times, end of the world, and like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it because it's like a little over my head sciencey stuff. But we have like ancient technology and all kinds of weird stuff. Like it's more just to be like Tim has these guests on IRL at night and they go over the headlines, but they don't really talk about like what really they do or, their specialty. And so that's kind of what this is focused more on. So it'll be
idea focused, sort of premise focused, rather than just going over everything. I like.
We just had 2 Texans on for the the Texit one. The guy who just he leads the thing to have Texas secede, and so we had a couple guys on talking about that last week. That's
great.
But yeah, it's really fun. So
yeah, it's going great for sure. Clint,
these people are saying how great you look, and I agree.
Oh shucks, guys, it's just the bronzer. Howdy, people. Chrissy, you look great as ever. Possibly ever, never. Thank you, Clint. I think it's because I actually blew my hair yesterday. Blew it dry. Clint, again, howdy, Miss Lisa. How do I get in TimCast? Not that I would have much to contribute. I just don't like to drink alone.
What do you mean get in TimCast? So by the way, like nobody at TimCast, like a big drinker. Tim doesn't drink. I used to like have fun and drink and party, but I really don't drink anymore. I feel like when you have kids, it's like if there's an emergency at 3:00 in the morning, you take them to the hospital and you're drunk, like that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So
you got to be ready.
We don't really drink that much. Like it's not like a big drinking crew. Maybe occasionally I'll go out with Cassandra and have a drink, but we're not like
Yeah,
that.
like you'll have stuff there for the guests. But that's just being a good host.
There was one girl that got drunk on IRL, and everybody.
Yes, I want to know. You don't have to say who, but
I forget what her name is, but they always say to me, "Why'd you get drunk?" And I'm like, I am not that person. Like, I'm not that girl. That wasn't me. They always confuse me.
There's something about if you're around the free, the unlimited quantities of alcohol, I can understand. Like, you get excited, and you're just like, why wouldn't I have one after the other?
Yeah, they're just here and they're delicious. That's fair.
Yeah.
But
oh my God. That sounds like my absolute worst fear is like getting drunk before like a TimCast or like a big appearance. Oh my God.
Elijah had a show where I got a little tipsy and I did a fat rant, but it was the only time.
Yeah, I remember we would do shots. I've done Elijah's show a couple times when it was on Blaze. We would do shots like up until the cameras. I was like, this is great. I'm like, I feel like I'm with my stand-up buddies. I feel like the IRL world needs more Chrissie in it, especially the TimCast IRL world. Oh, Fealty. He just saying, been forever since her episode on the pod. Thank you.
I agree. I asked Chrissie to be on, but we couldn't make it work. You had a tour date or something, but she's on my roster. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah. I'm in the reserves. I'm ready to go. I'm not going to be drunk. I'll be ready. Michael Amato. Colbert is another super rich elitist POS who hasn't had to worry about paying bills for decades and just pushes propaganda lies. Be a cop in Philly for 1 week, dude. Such a liar. Yeah. When's the last time he's went and bought his own groceries? Had to do anything for himself. Ugh. I just think he's trash. Me no likey Stevie Colbert.
I want to tell Michael just to, if he sees Sergeant Extreme, there was this cop and his name is Sergeant Extreme, and he used to wear like a long earring with a handcuff on the bottom. That I said hi, and I love him still.
Ooh.
So he was a wild one.
Michael Amato, Lisa, I don't have any social media. What shows do you do, or where can I find your content to watch?
I don't do really content. I was never that like I'm one of those people that like don't. I've been offered podcasts. And I've been offered
you
to
definitely
do stuff.
could.
I definitely don't want to.
It's a lot of work. Opinionated. Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Like I'm very energetic. I get all that, but like it is a lot of work, and I'm not interested in that. So basically, I just run my mouth on Twitter, and I do a lot of Twitter Spaces because I don't really leave my house anymore, and it's my social life. So if you find me in a Twitter Space, it's really because I don't have a social life anymore and I'm bored. But that's where you can find me. It's really on Twitter. So get a fake alt and just come say hi.
Yeah. I couldn't even believe this was your real house here. I thought this was a fake background.
Yeah, that's my basement. That's my stairs going upstairs.
Look at your cool stairs. Oh my gosh. You're like, you really have it together.
I'm trying. My mom and I had an interior design business for a long time. She does interior design on the side. So I actually just helped her teach a class for that. But yeah, so I got a little of her gift. I don't have her money, but I have a little bit of her gift. I can make some things work if I have to.
No, that's very cool. I'm very inspired. I want to talk about this moment. This was fun. This was a Joy Reid hot mic moment. Where she basically it's interesting. Tell me if you think this shows her true feelings, maybe towards Biden.
I don't remember if I saw this.
President Biden said he's ready to take action if Congress is serious about solving the border issue.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly. And Congress needs to get it done.
Starting another fucking war. Over the weekend, President Biden said he's ready to take action if Congress is serious about solving the border issue.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly. And Congress needs to get it done.
Starting another fucking war.
She says, starting another fucking war. That was caught on the hot mic.
They just want you to vote
to get it done.
Starting another fucking war.
Yeah, I can't imagine she would support it if that's what she's saying off mic, or that's what she thinks she's saying off the mic.
I think that a lot of people know that he's like basically like a vampire you ever watch I don't know what movie that was because I don't watch a lot of movies, but there's this one, it's a vampire movie, and like they all this blood comes in and they like infuse blood into this like vampire to make him like alive or whatever. That is what That is what he is. Like, I swear to God, there was an Adderall shortage in America because it was all going to the White House to prop this man up.
How is he still going? He's a miracle of science at this point.
I don't know. I just saw him fall. Like, I think it was an old clip where he like fell on a stage again. And like, the dude is not there. These people, though, they're so brainwashed to think that like Republicans are like the most evil, racist, bigoted people on the planet. And no matter what, you have to beat them at all costs. They're voting against their interest while saying that that's what we're doing. They're wild.
Because their feelings have been manipulated, and that's why there are more women who are Democrat voters, because women's feelings are easier to manipulate.
You know what else? Women outperform men. Like in the country, out of women that can vote, like 68% of women vote. As compared to men. Men, it's like 40
They just
something.
show up
right?
more. They're more conscientious, right?
Right. They show up. So women show up more. They overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And then I get in trouble for saying, oh, I don't think women should vote anymore. Like I say, I would happily give up my right to vote if all those lefties did. And like, I'll sacrifice. And I get hammered for that all the time. I'm not like one of these big, like repeal the 19th things, but like these emotional, crazy, brainwashed, easily manipulated people who are like, just love everybody, are the ones that are voting for this stuff and ruining our country. Like they outperform men showing up to the polls. So yes, I don't want women to vote. Okay. So
ideally, you would want to be with somebody, a spouse, boyfriend, whatever your person is, who has the same values as you. Ideally, you two would be voting the same. So if you're like, well, all right, well, my dude and I see eye to eye on things, and he votes as I would. What's the big deal? But it's like these single gals who are like, oh no, that's my personhood. Like I need to be able to.
They should have a serious test for voting. Like I think that forget the select service. Like there's a couple things. You should be able to pass like a civics test. That's one threshold, right? You should own something like property or a business or whatever, right?
Nice shoes.
As another one. And then the third component would be men, women, whoever. If you are going to vote on how this country is run, then you should be able to go to war for this country, and you should be signed up for either mandatory military service or the draft. And then leave everybody else. They're not signed up for that. And so you don't get a say. Like you're not allowed to vote on the people elected, like saying if we can go to war or not, if you're not willing to put your
I
life.
like that.
Yeah. So they're all the tests. You have to be like literate, competent, intelligent. Like we have literal morons who like don't even know how to like tie their shoes, still wearing Velcro, and they're voting for the leaders of our country. It's bananas.
It is scary. There should be some requirement. Michael Amato again. Sergeant X went to crime scene unit. Finally, he's been trying to get there for years. He was our supervisor from 04 to 07 before I transferred to the 15th. Lisa was our favorite. Such great times.
I was such a bad human. They used to yell at me. They would give me rides home. They arrested me once.
Wow. You've been
I was fighting in the
arrested?
middle of South Street, and it was a failure to disperse. Like they were like, everybody get out, right? And it was me and my girlfriend that kind of started the fight. So we were fighting in the middle of the street, and they were like, everybody get out. And I went down the street, but then I realized that my girlfriend was missing, and she can't fight as well. So I was like, oh God, I'm worried about Molly. And I went back, and they were like, Lisa, and they put me in handcuffs and took me to the station for failure to disperse.
God.
But they were good. They took care of me and they protected me. And they watched me walk home at night. And they were the cops, I can't say enough about how much I love Philly cops. So
okay.
Thanks, Michael.
So you were arrested, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
That's nice. Clint Torres, Lisa, also Father Mike Schmitz would be great on the culture war if y'all ever had a theological discussion.
I'm writing that down right now. I really do take suggestions like that because I have taken a step back. I really look for, I don't know who, I barely see half the stuff that's going on. So I'm taking down. So we said Michael Schmitz. Okay.
Michael Schmitz.
Thanks,
oh yeah. Or who is that guy who got Arthur Pawlowski? Who was he was the guy who blew up over the lockdowns for keeping his church open. And then he would call the police that they're trying to shut him down like Nazis and the Stasi. And I don't know if he's still doing appearances anymore. He was a firecracker.
There's a lot of really good people. I'm actually booked out right now until March 8th. I'm pretty booked, but
good for you.
I try to stay ahead of it because there's some weeks where it's coming down the wire and I don't have a guest. And it's like Monday. And I don't have a guest for Friday. And I know how it feels.
Yeah.
So.
You got to do it in advance. Plus, if people are traveling, it's good to plan ahead.
Yeah.
It's good to plan
The worst is
ahead.
like, there's my little dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
Come here, buddy. Come here. I'll show you. He's a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. He just, he was a rescue. Come here, buddy.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, Pastor Arthur from Calgary. A Jack Russell Terrier. Oh.
He looks more like a Chihuahua, but with floppy ears.
Oh, it's so
I can't get him. He's over there somewhere, so he'll come over in a minute. But he usually sits on my lap during these things. I don't know what his problem is today.
He's doing things. Yeah, sometimes like the muffin or waffles will like sit under my chair. But I have so many papers everywhere. Cool.
Chicken wing. So I think he's not like loving it. Like
or if I have any food, like a muffin begs hardcore. She'll just growl. She'll just growl at me. She'll be like,
my dog barks at like people walking by that he doesn't like and water. Like he'll make these like weird, like, hey, you need to refill my water, like these weird groan things. But he's really, really good.
There's a video of a husky who would just like throw his water bowl, like, or maybe it was his food bowl. He would just like chuck it at his owner. So cute.
Don't tell my daughter you have a husky. She's told me that she would give up my dog to have a husky because they howl and they have blue eyes and they remind her of winter. And she's born in a winter, and since she's a winter baby, she needs a husky.
Huskies
we
are.
live in a row home.
Yeah, we have like a golden doodle and a cavapoo, but huskies could like just sit in the snow all day.
Definitely not like a city row home dog with no backyard.
No, you need to be out with a lot of space. They can run around. Yeah, they need access to snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
blue eyes.
sweetheart, you're not getting a husky. Like you can ask, you'll get a horse before you get a husky. Like not happening.
No huskies. Oh, Michael again. Chrissy, just for the record, Lisa was not a bad person. She was a young 20-something girl who was having fun, but she was a badass and
oh, it's so nice to hear people say nice things about me because it doesn't usually always happen that way. So I try to like head it off so that you like if I tell you I'm a bad person that way, you know, if you hear from somebody else, it's not like I didn't tell you first. So
he's here to clear your name. That's so kind. Thank you, Michael. Don't believe the stories.
They were good times though. They were fun years. Like
yeah, everybody should have a couple of years like that. Messy years.
Yeah.
I love it. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. You're just so easy to talk to. The time has flown by and you just seem like really happy and good. And I love hearing from somebody like, no, you can't have it all. Like, don't try. You will be miserable. You will probably turn into a cunt if you can try to do it all. Just do what's most important to you.
I was watching a show last night and this guy says on there, it's like based in like the 1800s or something. And the guy says, it's been my experience, the more you want, the less you'll get. And so if you're content with, you know, the things that are good in your life, then good things will come. But if you keep striving for all this extra, you're going to come up short and it's going to be miserable for you. So I'm trying to live my life that way now.
Yeah. Good. Everyone have lower standards, lower expectations. What are you trying to do and be everything?
I love that. That's our motto. I'm going to be like, that's my new motto. Lower your expectations.
Everyone follow Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Elizabeth and on Instagram at _Lisa Elizabeth _ and watch Culture War on TimCast IRL on Tenet Media, but they can watch it mostly on YouTube and live too, of course.
Yeah, and feel free to send me suggestions for shows for people you guys like. I love that. So my DMs are open for that kind of stuff, not for like, you know, picks, but like for picks. Suggestions. Feel free to let me know.
Not for picks, Michael. I know that's what you were thinking.
He's got the same thing again.
Thank you to everybody in the chat for your comments and questions. And thank you, Lisa, for your time today. You're just a blast. You're just lovely.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's fun to kind of like get back into because I haven't done a show in a while. So thanks for having me, Chrissy. I appreciate you.
Yes, of course. Come back anytime. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.